The old Ford Ranger Raptor was a bit like the pickup truck version of David Beckham, except you've replaced his feet with slugs. It had all the ingredients to be a sand dune blasting off-road weapon, except here in the UK we only got it with a paltry diesel engine. It could barely get out of its own way. Luckily there's an all-new Ranger Raptor. It's got proper V6 power. I've been living with it for a week to see if it makes sense in the UK and to find out if it's kind of the roughy-tufty off-road version of a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Let's go. Don't worry though, if you do really like underpowered 210 horsepower 2-litre diesels and something that weighs 2.5 tons, you can still get a diesel version of this Ranger Raptor. Costs from about £46,000 excluding VAT, so about £55,000 for this. The V6 petrol, which is the one you want, it's got a 3-litre twin turbo engine, just under 300 horsepower, about £60,000, so it is expensive, and you can't do any of the dodgy tax rebatey type benefit stuff because it can't carry 1,000 kilos in its payload bed, so in the UK it's not classed as a commercial vehicle like the normal Ranger. Now I want everyone who lives in America and Australia to go down to the comments and mock us Brits, because I know your version of this engine in your Ranger Raptor gets closer to 400 horsepower. We've lost 100 horsepower because, I don't know, we like tea and stuff. So what do you get over a regular Ranger? Well, you get a Ranger that's basically been to prison and done this a lot, and I mean weights, not bench pressing other men. But yeah, the big deal on this one is it's got electrically adjustable Fox off-road racing suspension. It's all electrically controlled. You can change the damping settings. It's got very clever valving in the damping so it won't bottom out as hard and things like that. This is designed to go really fast off-road, whether that's across sand dunes, potholes, British roads, essentially are off-road these days. It's designed to cope with it, and the body's been reinforced as well. It's kind of like a body on chassis design, so there's loads of opportunities to weld extra reinforcements on there, which Ford has done. I went on the launch of the old version of this. It could take so much abuse jumping off sand dunes and things like that, which sadly we don't have that many of here in the UK. So this is going to be an on-road video, but let's have a look at the rest of it before I float away. There's more Raptoriness around the front as well. The 3-litre twin-turbo V6 got a bit of a party trick. See, if you put this in its most off-road rally mode, which is called Baja mode, the turbos actually keep spinning for 3 seconds after you lift off the gas. The idea being when you get back on the accelerator, you've got instant power and shove. Also in Baja mode, pops up a little warning on the dashboard saying not for road use, and that's because the exhaust goes into an almost straight-through mode, which sounds like this. In slightly more sensible normal news, you've got a bigger 2.3mm thick bash plate underneath covering all the stuff that you might break or rip off on tree stumps. You've also got matrix LED headlights, which automatically level so you don't dazzle other road users, which is handy because this thing is almost as tall as me. Yes, and if you're wondering whether this Raptor is now quick, it does 0 to 62 in 7.9 seconds, which isn't outrageously fast, but this does weigh 2.5 tons. And when you're on the move, it feels kind of as fast as you want it to be, given it's on knobbly tyres, and feels a little bit intimidating when you're going quickly, like it's going to take some stopping. Now, having lived with the Ranger Raptor for the past week, I'd say its biggest impediment to being useful in the UK is simply its size. It's 5.36 metres long, which is only about that much shorter than a Rolls-Royce Ghost. And that does make parking it a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest. It's got self-parking systems, and I have actually been using those parallel parking it on tight city streets near where I live. Now, otherwise, you've got the usual off-roady stuff. You've got high and low range gearbox, you've got locking diffs front and rear, all electrically controlled, of course. And it's also got an off-road cruise control function to let you deal with the steering when you're going off-road and just focus on what you're doing. But yeah, usually on the road, leave it in rear-wheel drive and enjoy very low-speed oversteer out of every junction, because these knobbly tyres, they're not built for grip on the tarmac, let's just say that. It's a very entertaining car to skid about at slow speeds. It lets go very slowly, and that's almost worth the price of admission alone. Around the back you can see it looks much like a regular Ranger, apart from with Raptor bits, and these splash graphics down the side are a 500 quid option. Now, the only other option is the Raptor pack, which includes this rather handy electrically operated tonneau cover. And you're going to want that if you actually want to use this as a daily driver. You've also got plug sockets in there, which you can control from the inside with aux power. And you've also got these handy little points here, so you can clamp stuff to the bench and actually work off this. So it's still a bit of a workhorse, although it has only got 700 kilo payload, 600 actually, 600 and something odd payload, which isn't 1,000 kilos. That's why you can't take the tax off it in the UK. The interior of the new Ranger and the Ranger Raptor is leagues ahead of the old one. It's got this black and red theme, which is very macho, but there's lots more technology in here. And the quality of materials is way more in line with just a normal passenger car, which is really what you want to see now that this costs £60,000. The steering wheel is heated as standard, as are the seats. You've got buttons on there to change the suspension setting on the fly and also the steering weight, the exhaust loudness. If you want to change driving modes, there's an R button there to go into your My mode, your Raptor mode, or you can twiddle this knob down here around the outside of the drivetrain controller to change modes. There's also off-road buttons as well, and all of that gets brought up on this rather lovely, if overexposed, 12-inch infotainment screen, which has got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's got a wireless charging mat underneath it, USB-Cs, USB-As, and it is actually a really, really nice system to use. The digital dashboard is also huge, bright, and it will show you that you're going to get about 300 miles to a tank of petrol in this, and it averages about 21 mpg in a mix of driving, mostly motorways, it has to be said, that I've been doing. And the diesel one is apparently not actually that much more efficient. Other highlights include a rather large glove box, decent sized door bins, a strip of soft touch Alcantara type material across the dashboard. The highlight for me are these airplane style auxiliary power switches up here. They don't really do anything, so I've got nothing plugged into the bed. But yeah, they're there, and I like the vents as well. Right, very quickly, let's just quickly show you the back seat space in the Ranger Raptor. It's actually okay in terms of knee room. I'm 6'3", that's in my driving position, and I fit here without my knees touching that. Headroom is nice. My only real complaint is the seat backs are a little bit too upright for me to be comfortable for long distances, but you've got Isofix there as well, so you can get child seats in there. They do fit. You've also got another 3-pin socket down there, so you can plug in normal UK laptop chargers and things like that. And you've got a USB-C and a USB-A. So they have thought it out as a workhorse. You can tell it's got commercial roots. People actually make money from their pickup trucks. But for consumers like me, it's also a good thing. Massive rear door bins as well. You get big bottles of Coke in there so your children can bounce off the roof while you bounce off the sand dunes of Surrey. Right, as you can tell, it's absolutely chucking it down out there. So that's it for the walk around. I'm going to do the rest of it in car, take it for a drive and tell you what I think of it on UK roads. Right, let's go for a quick drive in the Ranger Raptor, talk about how it feels to drive. And the first thing you'll think is, this is huge. I can't see anything past the end of the bonnet. You can hide a small elk in the blind spot, just like all big pickup trucks. But yeah, we're in Baja mode. And it does take off quite aggressively. It does feel quick. Even though that 7.9 second time on paper might not be the fastest, it certainly feels like you're hustling 2.5 tons really quickly. Oh dear. But yeah, it's got a 10-speed automatic gearbox, and I have to give a shout out to the gear shift paddles because they are they're chunky metal ones. And that is really what this Raptor's all about. It's about low-speed silliness out of junctions on wet UK roads. You don't really want to be getting oversteering this at high speeds because it's just so damn big, and you kind of feel like, it's big, it's heavy, I'm going to cause some damage. But yeah, you can unleash your inner child very easily. And then you do find yourself getting to 60, 70 miles an hour rather rapidly. Right, I'm going to stop being a child now. I really like how you can change the suspension settings on the fly from the steering wheel. So it's always a bit firm, but in normal suspension mode, so not Sport or Baja, it rides pretty well. Often pickup trucks are a bit, you haven't got anything in the load bed, so the springs aren't working properly. I'm just going to take it off road there. There's a massive pothole there. Barely felt it. And the shocks on this car do feel like they've come from a competition background. Competition, I can almost talk, sorry, it's the rain, it's got into my wiring. You can tackle big potholes at big speeds in this, and it laughs it off. It genuinely feels like you're driving one of those cool remote control car trophy trucks. It's not isolating you from all the bumps, but you just don't care what you're driving over. And if someone's coming the other way, you can take to the verge at 40 miles an hour, and you know it's going to cope with whatever's hidden in the verge. it's kind of a bit like the car version of an invincibility cloak. And I do like it for that. The steering feels, well, like numb and everything else. It does turn in and grip, but you have to do a bit of a slow in, mediumly fast out approach to corners because it is it's understeery on these tyres. If you get your corner entry speed too high, it will just wash wide. But yeah, you manage it, and you are always aware, as I said, that you're in something big and heavy and quite wide, but just makes you feel like a lunatic. It just feels a bit special. My only real problem is the fact that there's nowhere in the UK to really unleash it. You need a big off-road playground with yumps and jumps, and because it does build speed quite quickly, you almost need a desert for this thing, and I don't have a desert to hand. But actually, in day-to-day life, it does the sensible stuff okay. I've done a lot of motorway miles in it, as I've said, and on the motorway, it's pretty comfortable, it's pretty refined. It will cruise at 70 or 80 if you're being illegal, and yeah, it's just quite livable. Oh dear, someone's dumped a caravan here. That's a bit naughty, isn't it? Oh, sorry, I came here to turn around, but someone's just filled a caravan with rubbish and dumped it here. How long till that gets set on fire? It's probably a Ranger Raptor owner. The 10-speed automatic gearbox, though, was one of the weak points of the old Raptor when it had that 2-litre diesel engine. It never really knew what gear it wanted to be in, and when you booted it to get some performance, it just spent 10 years changing cogs. In this petrol, it actually holds onto gears reasonably well, and because it's got torque and power for days, it's actually okay. It's just a lot of fun. I think this is definitely one of the more fun cars slash trucks slash anything I've driven this year. It's fast, it's competent, it's built for a purpose, and it feels very specialised. I'm not sure I would quite go as far to say it feels like an off-road 911 GT3 RS, but it's got that level of focus on doing a job that just makes it a lot of fun. But at 62 grand for the one you really want, it's a very, very expensive plaything. Right, so in conclusion, what do I make of the new Ford Ranger Raptor? Well, it's certainly a lot better on the road than the old one. The V6 petrol really brings it to life. It makes a fantastic noise, especially if you put it in Baja exhaust mode. Feels like a proper hooligan as well. It's quite enjoyable on the road. It's quite fun trying to drive it quickly because it doesn't want to be driven like a sports car, but you can manage the weight, manage the grip from the knobbly tyres. And if I sound like a massive driving nerd, it's because it's that kind of car. It will appeal to you, even if you like sticky tarmac stuff. It's obviously huge. It's too long for most UK parking spaces on the street. It's just a bit big, and it also feels wide as well. So yeah, it's brilliant off-road. It's got all the kit it needs, all the locking diffs, all the electronics. It is built to literally be jumped. I know people have been jumping these in the desert and they just keep taking the punishment. So yeah, it's massively unnecessary, but thank you, Ford, for still making stupid things. The world needs more of it. Thank you for watching. If it's been entertaining, hit that like. If you're glad I've dried out, also hit like. Do subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more car reviews coming soon. Thank you for watching this year. I've really appreciated your support, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.